This week on the Fifth Trooper podcast.
This whole franchise is based on incest. The whole thing.
Whoa, this is...
Yeah.
Put the Diet Pepsi down. You're
No.
getting out of control.
Welcome to the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper podcast, where we talk Star Wars Legion. My name is Jay Shalansky, and I am joined by Evan Bullris
Hey, how's it going?
and Nick Allen.
Hey.
We are talking about a couple of things this week. And just on the front end here, I wanted to remind everyone, if you hadn't had a chance, get up to the store, buy some mats, buy some stuff, T-shirts, dice trays. We got all kinds of weird crap up there.
To clarify, you're talking about the
Fifth Trooper, store.
Just the store.
the store.
Well, whose store would I be promoting right now?
I don't know, man.
Walmart?
I don't know, but you could normally when you talk about a store, like and you talk about Star Wars Legion, you're talking about like your local gaming store.
Yeah, okay. So
I mean, I know you would love for
you're
your
absolutely
mats to
right.
be in every local gaming store, but we're not there yet.
Oh, good God. This podcast is going to go off the rails. I can already feel it. All right. So get up on the fifthtrooper.com/store and buy your Fifth Trooper merchandise.
Hey guys, must
And then also, just as a reminder, I'm sure most of you know, because literally everybody's been beating this to death. Next week is Adepticon. We will be there live. We will be live streaming both Friday and Saturday. We're going to do 2 tables. It's going to be either the top tables or in the earlier rounds, it'll just be tables of interest for us.
Okay.
You know,
Like notable people.
yeah. You know,
Or just
like
notable, interesting lists, I think is better too.
yeah, right. It'll be either interesting lists or people we think, like, you know, if Freeman's playing somebody else from the community, like LJ or somebody, we'll definitely put that up. And then we're gonna do it's gonna be ESPN style, so we'll be going back and forth between 2 tables. We won't be on one table the whole time, but we're gonna cut back and forth. So when like big important things happen, we'll definitely catch it and take a look. And then we're gonna be commentating. We're gonna have interviews. It's gonna be really exciting. And I want to put this out here. We have what I'm going to call a secret player. There is someone who is going to be playing at Adepticon. I'm not going to tell you who.
it's not me.
It's not Nick or Evan.
Oh.
It's
I'm like, is it me?
It's no one you would know. It's not a personality. But basically they have bounty tokens. If you beat this person, they will hand you a Fifth Trooper bounty token, and that bounty token is good for a free mat of your
damn.
choice.
And this person doesn't have a personality. Is it a robot?
He doesn't have a personality. No, he is not a personality, is what I think I meant to say. And I'm pretty sure I did say that.
He's not actively known in the Legion community by name. Right.
No, I would say people know him.
Oh, well,
You know
okay.
what?
Just a guy. It's a guy.
You know who you are, guy. No one knows you. Just deal with
a
that.
guy.
So anyway, so we're going to... so he's going to have bounties on him. So each round, if you beat him, so it'll be potentially 4 people if he goes 0-4 in the last chance qualifier. And it's going to work for high command too. So if he makes it to high command, and if somebody beats him at high command, he'll give you an order. He'll give you a bounty token, and you come turn it in to us at the table, and we'll give you a free mat. Not at Adepticon, because we won't have them, but we'll get your name and info, and we'll send you a free mat of your choice.
So he's going to play it out even if he scrubs out?
What's that?
He's going to play it out
Yeah.
all 4 rounds even if he scrubs out? Okay.
Yeah. So it's really exciting.
What if he gets the bye?
Oh, that's... Whoops.
I don't think there'll be a bye. I think they're maxed.
Okay.
So, and they have a wait list, so I don't think there'll be a bye at all.
Yeah, but there's usually a point where people drop.
Yeah, oh, yeah, sure. We'll figure something out.
You can give it away on stream.
Yeah, we'll do something. So anyway, so there's that. And then the next thing is just, I don't know. I kind of wanted, not a warning, but just a little bit. This cast that you're listening to currently is really going to be a 2-piece cast. This first half, we're actually going to be talking about a pretty serious topic and tying it in with Legion, and then the second half of the cast, we'll be talking about Krennic and stuff. So I just wanted to give you a heads up, because I know some people have been talking about some of the more life stuff that we've been talking about recently. They haven't enjoyed as much. Just fast forward to it, man. Like, or don't listen. I don't care either way, but we're doing it. So there's that.
There's that.
And this is the real Jay, which is we're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Or get out.
Yeah.
Or get out of my house.
I mean, it's my podcast.
The number of times I've been told to get out of your house.
Right. No, not get out of my house. What I say is when somebody, for viewers at home, listeners at home, when friends come over and they tell me to do something in my house, I look around and I go, wait a minute, whose house is this? Oh, that's right, it's my house.
Your house, Mr. J.
Tells his own parents to get out.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, my dad that one time. And so, anyways, so that's we kind of went in a lighter direction than I intended there, but because so basically the first topic we're going to talk about, you may have seen him out in the community, Chris Zanga. We're going to have him on, and we're going to have a pretty good talk about depression and what it is and what it means and how Legion, in Chris's case, has helped him with it. And so that'll be the first part, and then we'll come back and talk, more about Legion and Krennic and lists and stuff like that. So without any further ado, without any more jokes, let's jump into that interview. Welcome back, everybody. We really wanted to touch on a topic that we feel pretty strongly about and that we think is a serious topic. And I promise, we're definitely going to tie this into Legion. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was depression. And, looking it up, according to the World Health Organization, 300 million people around the world have depression. 16.2 million adults in the United States alone experienced a major depressive episode in the past year. 10.3 million U.S. adults have experienced an episode that resulted in severe impairment in the past year. And nearly 50% of all people diagnosed with depression are also diagnosed with an anxiety order. So with that, I'd like to welcome my next guest, Chris Zanga. He is a vocal community member about his own personal struggles with depression and coping with it, and how the Legion community has kind of helped with it. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
So why don't we touch a little bit, for people who haven't seen your posts or seen what you've done out there, why don't you touch a little bit about some of your struggles with depression?
Yeah. So again, I'm super transparent on kind of what I've been through. The last 4 years of my life, particularly, have been difficult. It was back-to-back years, losing my grandfather, losing my father. I got diagnosed type 1 diabetes, and then the year after that, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So it's quite a pile-on when you think of all those things back to back to back to back, and you feel like there's no real breathing room. So it got me into a real dark place real fast. And I guess I'll preface it by saying, I'm still in that place. I haven't been able to find a cure or a solution or a fix for any of this. And I don't want anyone to think that they're going to walk away with the the answers to all their problems. But I'm day to day, minute by minute, hour by hour, dealing with all of those things. And you deal with grief of loss. Because I'm sick, I deal with the grief of the loss of who I used to be. So it's not just losing a loved one, but it's losing a piece of who you were. And the things I used to be able to do. So it's a constant struggle every day to kind of keep yourself in check and to make sure that you're not going too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I guess I would, so I have some personal experience. A family member of mine had a few depressive episodes, and that's something that they always explained to me as well. Was it wasn't like all of a sudden they were better, and it was the switch that they flipped on and everything was okay. Yeah. It's something that they deal with every day to kind of manage and cope with.
Yeah, it's true. It's I've done the therapy route. I'm not 100% convinced that's the right route for me, but it's definitely, you can't go into something like that and thinking you're going to walk out with the way to turn that switch off. And it's about daily checks, and how can you make sure you're not getting yourself into those days where you got the blues, or if you're in those moments. And this is the hardest part, is when you're in the moment, people say things like, stop, breathe, assess the situation, count to 10, and think about what's bothering you. That all makes sense when you're fine, but it's never the easiest solution when you're in those moments, because those moments, the chemicals in your brain are telling you it is a worst possible thing of life, and there is no good answer. So you're going to sit here in wallow in the sadness, and that's just where you're going to be, because that's what you got to do. So it's very easy to talk about it, like now you and I saying, hey, I got some great pointers to help you through it. But when you're in it, that's when it's the most important. It's also when it's the hardest, actually, to go back and think about those pointers,
Well, and I would suppose it's like anything else, right? Like, okay, if I break my leg, let's say, because there's ways that it'll heal, and I could put a cast on it and I could do X, Y, and Z, but my healing process is going to be different than Evan's or Nick's or yours, Chris, right? So we're not all equal in our process or how our body or our minds deal with situations. And so I don't think we could have a conversation about this and be like, oh, this is what worked for Chris, this is what's going to work for you. And that's not what I'm trying to do. What we're trying to do here is just bring awareness to it, and more say, hey, look, there's this guy who's, he's got a successful career. And by the way, I didn't mention this at the top, but I'll mention it now. Chris and his company did our merch for us, our t-shirts and stuff, which they did a wonderful job. So
thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying
that. So how can we help our friends? Maybe that's somewhere we could start, Chris, too. Is what's something like, let's say I have a buddy that I don't know 100%, right? I'm not in his mind, but let's say I something seems off, or he seems down, and it seems to be an issue. What's something from your perspective that a friend of yours could have done, or could say, or could do to help?
I'll say this, and I guess we can we'll tie it into Legion, obviously, because at the end of the day, there's not one.
We're on a Legion podcast.
We're on a Legion podcast, exactly. There's not any one thing anybody could have said at the moment. I know that for me personally, it's I was shutting myself down so much that I wasn't even making myself open for friends or my wife or my kids to reach out and go, hey, you want to talk? Because it wasn't something they felt comfortable even doing, because I was completely shut off from the world. So they tried, obviously at first when my dad passed away, it's like you get the phone calls and the texts and everybody's checking in and asking how you and the family are doing. And that's your standard, that's the status quo. Someone passes away, you bring a casserole. It's what you do, but at the end, if you're not open to reaching out and saying, hey, I might need to talk, no one's going to come and approach you, because you're putting up this wall, and it's a wall of negativity and anger and hatred and sadness, and people don't necessarily know how to approach someone who's being completely defensive. Luckily, I've got I'm biased, probably the best wife in the world, and I've got some of the best friends in the world, and my buddy Tim, who I play X-Wing with, and who I brought to his first Legion tournament here last weekend. He's been the one, I guess, constant, who every single week, every day I get a text, and it's not like how you doing text. It's like, hey, did you see they're releasing that new TIE bomber? It's going to be super dope. We should go and play a whole TIE swarm with that bomber. And hey, did you see they're going to have tauntauns now? And it's reaching out about things that we think are cool. And that's kind of the angle, I think, is the best angle, is don't reach out with, how are you today? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling blue? That doesn't get you anywhere. But reach out with the things that the person really wants to talk about. And in this case, Star Wars.
Personal experience, the family member that I dealt with, same thing, was very shut down and reserved, and like wasn't conversating and wasn't attending events, and it was just a very like dark period. And it's like, how do you can't really approach that person with a how are you, or how what's going on. It's more of like what you said, keeping them included
Yep.
kind of in maybe what they like, but also like what's going on with the family or what's going on with your friends, and just being like, hey man, I'm gonna go do this. You wanna come join? And just make them feel like they still have people that are interested in having them around.
Yeah,
and available.
Yeah, and that's a big part. And we'll I'll just touch on it now, and we can parlay into it like later on, obviously. But the whole thing about community is you've got to get out of the house to be part of the community. You know, you got to get there. And for a long time, even right now, like right now, last weekend, I said to myself, I'm not sure I can get out of the house and go to this tournament. I'm not sure I feel up to it. I'm not sure I feel like I want to. I'm in a lot of pain today. Maybe I'll just cancel. I'll just cancel. That's what I'll do. I'll just cancel. And then you don't think about, well, Tim's going to show up, and then your buddies are going to show up, and I got some really great special edition Adepticon command cards that Alex Davies sent me to bring as giveaways for this tournament, and I'm like, well, you know, whatever. I'll just keep them for myself, and no one's going to care. But everybody who was there really cared that I showed up and brought these cards as prizes, because it was super cool to have something that they're not going to be able to get their hands on. And it was all great when I got there, but it's about getting out there. And when you're in that moment, you don't think about the people you're going to ruin their day if you don't show, because you don't care. You actually don't care about that. So
Right.
So you need to be able to get out to grow the community. And again, like I said, I'm a big part of being a part of this community and being a vocal proponent to growing the community here locally. It's tricky when you talk about, come on out, come be part of the family, and then everyone shows up except for you. You know?
Yeah, I get that. And, so something too, I think we touched a little bit on in the pre-interview, but this was something I read as well. I was doing a lot of research when I knew, you and I had talked about doing this. And so I started doing research on it as far as the correlation with gaming and depression, and why gaming is a good outlet. And maybe you can speak to your experience, but some of the things that I read was that the focus that specifically board games requires and has is like a positive for people with depression, because it allows them to have a focal point that's outside of their head a little bit,
100%.
And outside of that kind of downward spiral that ends up happening. And so maybe you could speak to that a little bit as far as with Legion, how that's been for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's again, the key word seems to be community, but it's something that I'm lucky because my kids now are 13, 10, and 8. So we play games together as a family. As a family, my wife and I have decided that twice a week we're going to play a board game. It might be X-Wing, or it might be Exploding Kittens. It doesn't matter. We're going to play a game with the kids, and we're going to be part of the family unit together and actively doing it. And with Legion, like I mentioned, it's my favorite IP, so it was easy to get into it. But I have a weird anxiety where it's I just call it advanced gaming anxiety. If we're talking Magic the Gathering, I always had an anxiety of, am I building the right deck? Can this deck win? With X-Wing, am I taking the right loadout? Is this deck going to win? And then Legion, I'm like, oh gosh, now that we have for our first round of expansions, now we've got, Scout Troopers, and now we've got FD cannons, and all of a sudden now I'm thinking, oh, am I going to win? There's too much stuff here. And I talked to Jay about this last week, is I changed my list before the tournament on Saturday 4 times. Because I just got in my head. And again, your last cast was talking about, like, get out of your own head and don't worry about winning all the time. And sometimes you want to play what's fun. And if it's 3 airspeeders, then play your 3 airspeeders, man, and have a great time. If that's what it means to have fun, do it. So for me, I was able to, as a hobby side of things, focus in on painting. And because painting came natural to me, I was comfortable in that world. And then I used a lot of the voices in the community, whether it be in our messenger group or on our Discord or in the Facebook group, and say, hey guys, I think I'm running Palp Veers and 2 IRG. Should I dump an IRG for something else? And everybody would respond. And it's like, they'd all give their 2 cents and they'd give their thoughts, and I didn't feel so um, alone, for lack of a better word. I didn't feel like now I was creating a loadout that I knew was going to win with full confidence, and I can go to a tournament, I can beat everyone, and get first place, and it was going to be fantastic, and I'm going to be the best Legion player in North America. And that all goes away when everyone has a different perspective of the exact same game you're playing, and you realize that there is no one perfect loadout. There's a loadout that works for you. There's a loadout that's super fun. I just played a game with my son last night, Palpatine Vader, because at the end of the day, that's an expensive loadout to put Palpatine and Vader on a board, but how awesome is Palpatine and Vader on a board? And that's what it came down to. It was super cool just to play those characters. He smoked me. Those Pathfinders are the bane of my existence. And my 10-year-old son beat me again. But at that time, it didn't matter because I was playing a fun loadout. And that's what it's done for me. It's given me this opportunity to take something that I thought was scary. Oh no, too many expansions are coming out, too many options. I just want to play the core kit, a 400-point game. That's it. 3x4 table, 3x6 table. That's all I want to do. And then you realize, well, no, hang on a second. You can go ahead and experiment for fun because you don't have to experiment to win. And that's where it really clicked for me, is just going out there, bringing my kids in, bringing in the community, being part of the community, meeting people, and realizing, I lost this tournament. I went, the 3-0, or I went 2-3, or whatever you're playing. I lose more than I win every time. I lose more than I win, but it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't bother me anymore like it used to, because there's a bigger picture here. You're gaining far more from the fun and the camaraderie and the family time than you would ever gain from going and winning. And not to knock the guys who go out there and spend their time and play competitively and do the Adepticon and Gen Con and do all those things where they're going and playing, they're trying to win the worlds. I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to get invited to one of these events and play. But it's not what I need out of this game personally. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, and it's funny to go back a little bit, like you had sent me your list privately and were asking me questions. Mm-hmm. And I think at one point I just asked you, I'm like, well, I don't know, are you comfortable with it? And it was I mean, because that's the thing with this game right now is I think you could even, you'd have to expand a little bit, but you could even use what came in the core set and still have a list that's absolutely competitive. And so, because what's the Stormtroopers, Vader, and bikes, right?
Totally,
those are all still legitimate things in the list.
Well, I taught my first learn to play 2 weekends ago. There's a great little place where I work in Oakville called Lords of War, and I've known the guys there for a long time. They're good dudes. And I said, hey, can I host a learn to play here in your shop? And they said, of course. So they gave me the shop on a Sunday, and I did the postings on Facebook and invited people out. And it was a really great turnout. And we had 3 tables set up. And the first table was just Vader and 2 troopers units and Luke and 2 trooper units. Just roll some dice, watch them move around, make the pew pew sounds, and have a blast. The table next to it was my tournament loadout, my Empire loadout, and then I built a Rebel loadout for my friend Tim. Again, he's never played before, so I built him a loadout, and I set that up next to the guy. And I said, well, when you're done the basic game, move on over to this table and try a little bit of an advanced game. And then the third table was for anybody who wanted to show up with their own stuff and just play against the new guys, play against me, play against each other, whatever. And it just created this environment where the new guys were coming in, seeing how the game works because they were playing the game. And I'm a big proponent that you got to get your hands on it, roll some dice to understand it. Don't just watch the YouTube videos and don't listen to the podcasts and think that that's the be all and end all. Because at the end of the day, like, there are a lot of great guys in the community. You guys are in the forefront. Jay from Tabletop Oddity, my friend Sean from the Train Studio, Krabbuck. Like, these are all guys who are approachable, friendly content creators, and they're contributors to the community. And everything that all those groups have to say is super important. And it's really informative and it's entertaining. At the end of the day, you and Jay and Sean, those guys, you're entertaining. And that's where it begins and ends with me. But getting out to the event and rolling the dice, is where I think you really get the players who are kind of, do I want to buy into this game? Do I think I'll have a good time? That's where you win them over, is getting them to play. So getting those people out there is just fantastic, because you're having them interact with people who've been playing for the last year and people who've never played before ever. And that kind of, again, it just strengthens the idea that, and I talked to Jay about this off the air. I said, I'm playing with an idea called taking your first steps into a larger world, where I want to, do something where I can say, don't be scared to walk into a shop you've never been into. Don't be scared to paint and post it. Don't be scared to say, I don't know, can you help me? Don't be scared, because we're not going to tease you and point at you. We're not a toxic community. We're not a community of people who think, well, I played at the World, so don't talk to me about your list. But you can just buy the core kit and just play. And I had a guy actually tell me there, well, do I got to buy these new Pathfinders? Like, I saw they just came out, and do I need to buy them? And one guy piped up and said, yeah, man, if you don't buy them, don't show up. If you don't buy them, you're not going to win. And I'm like, hang on a second. This isn't a pay to win game. You'll always be able to take the models you own and have fun and even be competitive. You don't need to constantly be buying the hot new thing because you think that's the only way you're going to win. There is some truth in it. The Pathfinders are severely overpowered against a core box unit with, just a core box. But, it's not going to, I would never say to somebody, if you don't buy all the new hot stuff, you're not gonna have fun. You're not gonna be competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess just to wrap this back around a little bit, you've mentioned community. You've named you name dropped a little bit there with Sean and Jay and myself and Krennic. So let me ask you this: do you find with your anxiety and with your depression, has the larger community in general, knowing that there's a whole world of us out there, I mean, literally a whole world, like people from Australia and Canada and England and Germany. And I mean, we get a ton of people reaching out from all over the place. How does that help with your, or hinder with your frame of mind?
It helps because at the end of the day, and again, like I mentioned, in the moment it's difficult, but in moments like this, when you have clarity, complete clarity, and you're thinking about things just like that, you always like to know that when you put your head down on your pillow, your best friend and the woman you love is beside you, and your kids are all sleeping soundly and they're all healthy, and that makes you feel good. And in the gaming world, it's nice to know that I can click onto the Facebook group and it says 13.3 thousand followers, and it's like, wow, there's 13,000 people out there who are all playing the same game as me, all asking the same questions as me. And for the most part, they're all willing to listen to my dumbass question about something and honestly answer with no toxicity. Just actually give me an answer for something like, what does sharpshooter do again? Because the way my mind works, I can't remember every single keyword or whatever it is. So I'll ask silly questions like, what does blast do again? Or whatever it is. And they'll answer, oh, hey man, that just means it ignores cover. And it's like, oh, cool. Okay. And you feel like I can ask somebody anything in that community and they'll just give you an honest to goodness answer. And when I post pictures and people are like, man, that looks so fantastic. Or when I talk about depression or anxiety and someone's like, hey man, I've been through that too. And we got to stick together and stay strong because we'll stay strong for each other. You're reaching people, whether it's the most asinine question you could think of or a serious topic about anxiety and depression. People are listening and they want to talk. They want to connect. Humans want to connect. We don't want to live in a cave, like Luddites and be alone forever. We want to be a part of something. And I'm not religious at all. And everyone can find their community any way they want to. And that's their cup of tea. But I think for us, is that we have this giant worldwide community of people, of like-minded people who have good hearts and sound minds, and they all want to be part of it and work together and just keep growing together and make us a better, stronger community. So it's super positive just to think about how grand, like we're talking right now, like how many people are going to listen to this, whenever it airs in a couple of weeks. Like you're reaching people who want to be part of this and are tuning in because they want to be part of it. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I guess, what I would say is, and just to wrap it up here, is that, if you're listening to us and, if this is sounding familiar and the things that Chris are saying, there are people out there like Chris that are open and receptive, and, you can drop a message and talk about what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah. And I mean, really the best I can do is kind of give you, Chris, a voice to kind of talk about this and just let you guys know that you're not alone out there. And the best thing you can do is reach out, if you're feeling just not right or something's, it's just not making sense in your head, either reach out to a friend or a professional or anything, right?
Yeah.
And just make sure you're reaching out.
Yeah. And it's again, selfishly, I've been listening to you guys since the beginning, and I've been part of this community since day one. So it's super cool for me just to be able to be on, the Fifth Trooper and to talk to you guys. And that's me just nerding out and fanboying out because it's super awesome. But at the end of the day, I have to give you endless thanks, because it's very hard to get the platform to speak. And a lot of people feel that no one's hearing them when they speak, and to come on here and have a platform to say these things that are really important that might not resonate with everybody, but might resonate with enough. I can't thank you guys enough for just letting me come out and talk about it, because I am, again, first and foremost, I'm here to grow the community and to let everyone know that we are a community of friends. And if you have any questions or have things you're going through, like you said, drop me a line, drop me a message, shoot me a DM, ask me publicly in the Facebook group. I'll answer you publicly in the Facebook group. Like, don't hide from it. Don't be ashamed of it. And I could not reach the people I want to reach without people like you guys who understand how important this is. So I want to thank you so much for giving me this platform to talk for a little bit.
Yeah, man, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. And what we're going to do too is we'll provide some links and information in our little description of the episode for people to, number one, learn about it, and then two, if they need help and need to reach out, we'll have some information on that as well.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
So, all right, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. It's good talking to you guys. I talked to Jay about the game or about merch, and it's kind of fun to kind of talk on a more of an important level. I felt good.
Well, I hope you're ready, because there's going to be tens of people that are going to know you
now. Well, that's okay. I can take on 10 more friend requests. That's pretty good.
All right, perfect. All right, thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
And welcome back. So that was Chris. Super cool guy.
It was an excellent interview.
Excellent interview. Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say cast, but I'm like, it's not over yet. So.
Yeah, it's not over. It could go way downhill with how it started.
Yeah. Oh, we're all over the place, but yeah, Chris is cool, and I don't know. I hope it helps. And like we said in the interview, I'm gonna make some links and stuff available in our show description. So if you want to learn more about depression, if you don't know anything about it, or if you feel like maybe you're struggling with it, there'll be some information on how you can get help and phone number and stuff like that. So I'll have that in the show notes. So. Cool. All right, so now somewhat, I guess, of a less serious topic. We are going to talk about Krennic. So his full spoiler, well, not his full. I guess we don't know what the other upgrade card is right now in his pack. But
usually if they don't show it, it's something that's already out.
Something that's already out, yeah.
So it's probably like a, what is it, a tech?
It's a equipment.
Yeah, so it's probably like environmental gear, or if I had to guess.
Recon intel or
something like that.
So he came out. I don't know that we talked too much about him, so let's go through real quick. So he's 90 points.
Real cheap.
He rolls white for defense, which is going to be a struggle for us on the Empire side.
Them t-shirts.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
It makes sense. He's wearing white.
Yeah, I hate him. He's got 6 health. He's got 2 courage. He crits on Surge, and he does defense on Surge, shields on Surge. He rolls 1 black for his unarmed. range 1 to 2 for his Krennic's DT-29 blaster pistol, which is a red, a black, and a white with Pierce 1.
The rainbow.
Yep, he has. I like that. I heard that before. I thought it was clever. And he has sharpshooter 1. I don't know. I did. I was like, oh, that's nice.
I'm very appreciative.
Yeah. He has a thing called Compel. After another friendly unit at range 1 to 2 rallies, if it is suppressed but not panicked, it may gain 1 suppression token to perform a free move action.
That's so disgusting with snowtroopers.
It really is. I'm so
want
excited.
Nothing to do with it.
And then he has Cunning. This I thought was really, really interesting. When your commander-specific command cards are played, so Krennic's cards, if there would be a tie for priority, treat your command card as though it had 1 fewer pip.
It's a cool ability. It kind of bums me out. It's on Krennic because everything, we'll get into his cards later, but this was like, we're talking about, this is like Thrawn, right? This is totally like how they built Thrawn. Like, he beats you on the same pip, and then his 1 command card lets you take tokens out to like premeditate what you're going to do. So it's an awesome Krennic ability. Because in the movie, he was kind of like, meh, but in the book he was really like 1 step ahead of the game. Like he worked everything in his favor, right? He got the Ursals into where they are. He put who was Jyn Erso's father? Galen Erso. Like he manipulated. I was
going to say Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a great actor used in a very small part in a Star Wars movie, so that's
he's in a lot of small parts in a lot of movies.
Yeah, it's too bad. I love him, but like in the book, he was very like manipulative, and he was playing everybody, and it was like so. If someone like says like, he wasn't really like that in the movie, I'm like, no, you're right. But the book, he was totally like 1 step ahead of the game.
And I get that, but like, it was inferred that he was that smart. Like I never took him as like we were talking pre-show, and like you were saying how the Star Wars bad guys got to be like kind of blundering idiots almost, right? I never took it like that because it's like,
no, I never got that.
Yeah, in my head it was for 20 years he's been like cunning and working his way up through the Empire and building the Death Star and like putting all these pieces in place, like the Ursos, and like you said, the book says, I don't know, he knew where they were going to attack. He was like in all the right places in the movie.
That's fair. He screams and whines a lot.
Yeah,
about this is mine and that's mine, and Tarkin shows up, and I get it. Like Tarkined him, right? He's like, this is mine now. Sorry. Yeah. And he goes to Vader, and he's like, it was my space station. And Vader like chokes him and goes like, yeah, get out of here. It's
this is gonna be controversial. Yeah. I actually didn't mind that whole joke. I
thought it was
choke
fine.
On your aspirations. I liked it.
I thought
it was very corny.
It was, but I thought it was a cool lead up to the fact that
the
Vader's
original
in the movie.
trilogy was super corny. Like,
yeah, it's true.
But like again, like the books leave off right when the movie starts.
Well, I'm sorry, not to deter us, because this is something that's bothered me.
Okay.
So the fandom of Star Wars, right? And I don't, at this point, I don't care. Yeah, I'm doing it.
Oh, all right.
So everyone gets so upset about stuff that happens in the recent movies. Last Jedi, Solo, Rogue One, okay?
Yep.
Right? Oh, so upset about everything that happens. Have we so soon forgotten that Luke was making out with his sister in the first movie, and we're just all okay with that? Like, no one really cares anymore about that. This whole franchise is based on incest. The whole thing.
Whoa, this is okay.
Go back to A New Hope. No, take out Empire, take out everything else.
Put the Diet Pepsi down. You're getting out of control.
Look at A New Hope. He clearly was meant to hook up with her. They made out. They even kissed in the beginning of Empire.
Like, all right, they didn't know though. Like, is that guilty? Like,
I don't understand what the point is.
We are so easily giving of that, but we're not forgiving.
We tear apart the new stuff.
Oh, see, so my problem with that particular line is it just didn't follow the tone of the movie. It was just very out of place. It definitely belonged in a Star Wars movie because.
Oh, you're going back to the choke on your aspiration.
Yeah, the choking.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
No, I get you. Well, I want to put a pin in that.
No,
we'll pin that because that's a whole other podcast of us going back and forth about it.
Why can't it be this podcast?
Yeah.
How long do you want to go?
Forever. Do it.
Okay.
Is this where you tell us you're okay with incestual relationships?
What if I said yes? All right.
It would be weird because you're an only child.
This podcast is very up and down.
It's going all over the place. But okay.
It's a weird week.
So yeah, this week's been hell. But all right, so let's take a look at this.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I don't know why. Let's go back to let's look at all the movies in the spectrum. Right. So yeah, everyone's just tearing apart all the new stuff. Like Solo was fine. If you watch Solo, it is a Star Wars movie. Was it the best Star Wars movie? No. Was it the worst? Not at all. It was a space western that had some cool heist scenes, and we got to see characters. Fine. Was it offensive to take risks? No, it didn't. Now let's go back to The Force Awakens. Everyone said it was too much like A New Hope.
Right. Copycat.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great because I imagine if I had a kid, to go see that movie, that's a great first movie if he's never seen any Star Wars movie, right? You get big action, all these characters come back, magic, lightsabers,
New
right?
characters.
Yeah, like it's awesome. Like if I
You could honestly enter that movie without watching a single Star Wars movie and be caught up.
yeah, and just jump right in, right? But to all us old salts who watch Star Wars, like it was pretty much the same movie, just again. And then so everyone's like, we don't want them the same. So then poor Ryan Johnson gets dropped this whole franchise in his lap. And they're like, they said they don't want it the same, make it different. And it almost felt like he had zero supervision. Like the first movie, Force Awakens, felt very committed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The committee agrees that Han Solo should enter the scene here. The committee agrees that he should say this, right? Like it's all like, but it's fine, right? It's Disney. They know how to make money. That's what they're doing. Last Jedi, love it or hate it, people are still talking about it. What, 2 years? A year?
Yeah.
2 years
2
later?
years too.
2 years later. There's still violent debates about if it's the worst movie, if it killed Star Wars, whatever. I thought it was fine. I liked it. The problem was I felt like the director felt like he had to subvert your expectations at every point because he didn't want to feel samey as the other one. And when you subvert expectations, either people love it or they hate it. That's just kind of how it goes, right? Like, do the fact that Rey's parents are nobodies, I think that's awesome. Some people may not. The fact that Luke throws the lightsaber over the thing, some people don't like it. I like it. Like, again, like I am not disvalidating your point for not liking these scenes. It's cool, man. That's why we're humans and we have voices. We can talk about these, but like, you don't like it, I like it, agree to disagree, or like here's why I do, right? But it turns into like almost violence with people talking about it, and then that's when it goes way wrong off the Richter scale, when people violently defend it or violently hate it. And that's kind of the problem, is the fan base kind of tore itself apart in this violent vortex about that movie. And I think if the movie, they just played it safe and they did Empire Strikes Back except new, and everyone's like, oh well, it's the same thing, like, right? It wasn't going to be able to make anybody happy no matter what you did on that one. So he took a bullet. The dude made Looper and one other movie,
Brothers Bloom,
and then he made the eighth Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
he made the 8th Star Wars movie. The amount of weight on that dude's shoulders, right? Like, it was just crazy. So going back to bringing it up,
yes,
that movie made everyone very decisive, right? And everyone's picking that movie apart. Man, the prequels sucked. They still suck. I go back and watch them. Like, so 4, 5, and 6 are kind of like, I think they're great. I know there's problems, but I just think they're great. But man, like, I could pick out a movie like 45 minutes of trade talk in the first one, nothing happening in the second movie. In the third one, Anakin rolls up to Mace Windu. He's like, I think Palpatine's a Sith. Mace Windu goes, oh, that's bad, and they casually walk down the, like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's so many. And for a reason, I was always love for the prequels lately. No, I get it, like miniatures.
Well, you know what it is? I'll tell you what the love is that the generation that grew up on it is now becoming adults, and so they have a say in
That's
things,
fair,
and they see it differently than we do, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and so to go back to why I went down this
real
particular rabbit hole,
If you're gonna rip apart a movie, rip apart the prequels too. Don't put it all on The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens or Solo.
Rip apart
or,
A New Hope. For
Yeah.
God's sakes, like he kissed his sister.
That's my one hang up of the whole movie.
No, I have others, but
but-
let's not forget that they were clearly in that first movie and half of Empire designed to become
I guess so.
the love interest, right?
But
Hero saves the princess, has a love interest with her, blah blah blah. That was gonna be Luke, and then somebody along the lines was like, "Nah, that's his sister." What? They're both super powerful with the Force. They didn't be like, "Oh man, that was weird." At any point, they're just like, "Yeah, cool,"
I guess so. I don't know.
and we don't want to talk about it. God forbid we talk about it.
I'm just saying, all the movies have their problems, except Empire Strikes Back. That's the perfect sequel.
Agreed. So, anyways, the reason I went down this rabbit hole is I'm seeing this with Krennic a little bit. That like what you were bringing up. Well, that's not that it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like Krennic. Blah blah blah. Like, guys, what do you want them to do? Like
I
they
want him to
have,
be Thrawn, Jay.
yeah.
That's why I
Well,
want him to
maybe
be.
maybe that he's gonna come. I don't know, but like I think the problem is, they've got to develop rules that make sense with the rest of the game, and I think sometimes a rule may not make as much sense to the character as we want it to, but it makes sense for the character in the game.
Well, they strive in all things Star Wars, X-Wing, Legion, anything to have it feels like the movie or the right.
Mhm.
That's the whole point of the book. So do I disagree with Krennic's abilities are fitting him? No, I don't. But then again, I have the view of like I read the book and then I watched the movie, like as a whole, right? So it fits for him if you have the whole story. I'm just saying if I only saw the movie, maybe not.
Yeah.
But then again, like in Armada, that's Thrawn's ability is where you can take 3 action things you assign to a ship, put them on the side. We'll get to the card in a minute what it does for Krennic. But then you can pick which one you want to use when you want to use it. It's like his planning ahead, like he knows, right? And then to me, he just like if you said instead of Krennic and you put Thrawn on there, like it would have felt the same because his 3rd book's coming out soon. The next Timothy Zahn book for Thrawn.
Already didn't the second one just come out?
Yeah, he's been.
Oh, did you turn them out?
Yeah, they're
I
good.
still need to read the second one.
The second one was pretty good, not as good as the first, but I think that it just feels more like Thrawn to me.
Yeah.
But like I don't hate I don't hate the Krennic. I think it's fun. I don't
Yeah.
hate the Krennic, but I just like when I'm looking at the abilities. Maybe not compel. Compel is a Krennic thing where it's like do it. Like he's on the strict orders card, right? He's like just do it or die, right? That's his thing. So it fits him thematically, but I like when I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, Thrawn could have done that too.
Yeah. I
That's
guess.
all I was trying to say.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So my question is, cunning, does that if you have 2 commanders, does that work on all command cards or just his?
Just his. Just the commander
When
who
he's
has,
issuing the order.
Yeah, when it's his command card.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you could use a Gennaro one, right? Does it say just his or?
It says when your commander specific command cards
okay.
are played.
All right.
Okay, so with that, so that compel, which was after a unit at range 1 to 2 rallies, if it's suppressed but not panic, it may gain a suppression token to perform a free move action. That'll go well with that strict orders upgrade. When a friendly trooper unit with a face-up order token activates during its rally step, it may remove 1 suppression token instead of rolling dice.
I think that's just good. Period.
Yeah, that's good. Period. Yeah.
Like guaranteed remove suppression.
Especially when it combines with his command cards.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty awesome.
Speaking of, so let's start with this one pip. Voracious Ambition. So this is director Olson Krennic. He at the start of the activation phase, place 3 random order tokens from your order pool face down on this card. You may look at the 3 order tokens at any time. When you would draw an order token from your order pool, you may choose one of the order tokens on this card and use that order token instead. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's real good. Especially if you've got
It's
a
really
mixed,
good.
if you mixed unit army. Or let's say you even pull your 3 cores out. You're like, cool, I'll just pull a core when I want it.
Here's my problem. It's a 1 pip.
Yeah.
There's some other 1 pips I think I would rather use, depending, like if I'm partnering him up. If he's the only commander. Well, I guess it could take the place of Ambush if you were going to run him in Veers.
Oh, I'd take both or 1 pips.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, maximum firepower and that, because that you play that in a turn where when you pick what you want is very important. So like
Yeah.
3 or 4 sometimes when
Yeah,
like
turn
I
3 or
need
4.
snipers now, right?
Mhm.
Like I need core troops now. So you pull them out, even if it's not what you want, you thinned out your bag, right?
Yeah, that's true. And then maybe keep improvised orders out there either on Krennic or on Veers, and
Yeah.
now you're really doing, kind of
It's
selecting what
it's
order you
taking
want.
the randomness out of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other big thing is that this is now hidden information for your opponent.
Yeah.
They
Right.
can't actually know what you can do.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm
Right,
like, man,
you're getting a step ahead of your opponent because you know what you can do.
Yeah,
but they
because
don't
otherwise,
know.
if you put orders face up on the units that you're going to use, your opponent can plan for that.
Right, and then if you're randomly selecting them, neither of you know what's going to happen, so you're both in the dark, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so his 2-pip, deploy the garrison. 2 troopers. At the start of the activation phase, choose up to 2 friendly trooper units that have face-up order tokens. Each chosen unit may perform a free standby action.
that's super good. So especially because it's happening in the order, so you pick that unit who's on a key spot, and the other guy goes to activate, and they want to shoot or move away, like with an object, you get to fire. That's super good, especially if you give them Overwatch to make their standby 1 to 2 for a shot, or you do snowtroopers where they get to you can standby can turn into a move action, right? A move or an attack.
Yeah.
So you move and then attack with steady, right? Like that's real good.
So, yeah, so you would move, aim, standby, I guess.
Well, it's not even that. So like you put the standby down on like a snowtrooper, right?
Yeah.
And a guy activates. So remember when you got me in standby, Nick? Like I couldn't do anything.
Mhm.
You had all your fleets in front of Veers, and Veers just like, because I was reading it, so I'm like, what does standby actually do? And like if I shoot or I move or I do an action
Any action.
If you do
before
anything.
I do that, you shoot me, right?
It's now after.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So this after he gets a
So
shot?
like you could, if you have a unit, if I have a unit that has standby, like
Yeah.
with my E-webs, let's say your unit is right there.
Yeah.
If your first action is to shoot my E-web, you can take away my standby.
Okay, if you get okay. I guess it's still I think it's good. So like then you're forcing him to shoot you if you don't want to get shot out of turn. That's still powerful. What happened with Nick is he had a full thing of fleets with standby, and I had my Veers just out, and I'm like, I choose to do nothing. Because like I'm rolling 3 white with nothing, so odds are it's gonna be 3 blank. It's just how it goes, right? So to have like having a death trooper out there, and maybe you give them the Overwatch, which is 1 to 3 for their shot, or snowtroopers, you have them out, and you're like, I'll take a move closer to you and then flame you.
Yeah, the question is here's my question. They perform a free standby action, right?
Yep.
So it's free. So they're still going to get 2 regular actions.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
But attack, I don't think can be one of them because I'm pretty sure it's standbys if you have an attack.
Well, you can attack.
standby.
It's just you lose the standby.
Yeah. So normally if you take a standby action,
Because you can
I
only
see.
perform 1 attack
Yeah.
per turn.
but this would.
But the
could get
biggest
you
thing
to-
about this is you basically like have a preemptive strike, so you can put this standby, and you can just let them sit there, and you're not forced to activate them in order to get a standby. If you need it, you just get it.
Right. Okay. I was reading that wrong. I understand now. I was thinking about it in a different way. So yeah, right. They just get it right away. So that that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So the best scenario is probably you give these troops the standby action, you just let them sit there, and let your opponent do whatever, and then you activate these guys last if they haven't used their standby token, and then you can move and shoot or do
That would
whatever you want
be
to do.
that actually adds another dimension for that comms relay.
Oh yes.
So because this
Mm.
says trooper, right? So let's say you give it to let's say you have a unit that's way up on the front lines. You can comms relay it up to
Another
them
1 to 2. Yeah.
and then give them the standby.
Yeah. I think it's real powerful.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Okay, now I understand it. Sorry, I was like
No, it's
what?
real good. Nobody on the Empire side has Gunslinger yet. So, but I mean, Boba Fett. Like, if you comms real to Boba Fett, and he's like, "Yeah, here's Pearson Impact. Get wrecked."
Yep.
Right.
All right, so it's 3-pip Annihilation Looms. You give the order to Director Krennic and 2 units. And then if it is round 5 or 6, I'm sorry. Each trooper unit gains 1 suppression token.
Yep.
When you play this card.
Period. Everybody.
Each trooper unit. If it is round 5 or 6, each trooper unit gains 1 additional suppression. So
It's so good.
yeah.
This is his key card.
And then we were talking about so you could give, yeah, I mean, you could use this to give the order to like Krennic and then like Veers and then your guard, your royal guard. Let's say you're playing those, okay? Just stay with me. So when you give an order token to royal guard, they remove suppression.
Yep.
Then you give it to Veers, you activate him, he can inspire too and take suppression off a couple of your trooper units before you even start. And then if they have strict orders, you could just remove all your suppression while your opponent has to roll for theirs.
I think on Death Troopers, so the joke of me playing Krennic and 4 Death Troopers is becoming less a joke and more something I'm really looking at.
Yeah.
Because they have the same thing that the Royal Guard do, don't they? Don't they get a bonus to remove suppression?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
either
remember what it is.
they roll red dice like the Wookiees, or they have the other ability. I know they have some way where they don't really care about suppression as much.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look.
And so to have 4 groups of them out there just being, and with their suppressive ability, their gun that adds another 2 suppression. So you do around 5, double suppress everything. The other guy plays the 3 pip. You're Krennic. You go first. Then you add 2 more suppression to a unit with their gun. Like, it's insane.
So they have discipline
Yeah,
1, so
that's
they
it.
can remove up a suppression token when they're issued in order.
Yeah, that's super clutch because they have 2. They have 2 cards, so they're
Yeah.
not suppressed anymore,
Nope.
right? I think they're going to be just. At first, I'm like, I'll play it because it's funny, but now I'm like, oh, it's not a joke anymore. Like that's
Oh, it's stupid good.
especially if they have like the DLT. That's their if it's just normal DLT with Death Troopers, and that's 100 points is the deal. Sure, yeah, put them out.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of play with that. You know, and Evan and I were talking a little bit earlier. I think, gosh, I have probably like 3 or 4 ideas right now on a Krennic Veers list that I think could be really, really good.
Well, it's cheap enough to run too, right? Like
Yeah.
it's finally 2 Imperial commanders that you can run together and not feel like you're just throwing away like points. Like it's Vader alone,
Right.
Palpatine alone, or something else.
Thoughts, Nick?
No, not on this one. This one is very. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out or how it's going to use. This one is very. I need to see it played.
I think
need to play with
someone out there will find a way to make this really oppressive.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's gonna go for suppression. Good luck rolling out of it, right? Like,
Well, yeah, and what did Luke say when we did the interview? That his favorite list to run is it was Krennic. I want to say 2 or 3 Death Troopers.
it was Krennic, 1 Death Trooper, 2 E-Webs, and then 6 of whatever else.
Yeah.
Unknown
Was
culture.
it 2
Yeah.
E-Webs or 3 E-Webs? It was 3
Yeah,
E-Webs.
was it 3? All right.
So it was Krennic, Death Troopers, 3 E-Webs, and then 6 is something he couldn't tell us about.
And
So
if
it's a
those,
suppression list.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if those E-Webs have barrage
Barrage
generator,
generator.
that they get suppressive 2 cheese.
Mhm.
Like Inspired's going to become real like Luke Cook. He showed him my list when we were playing, and he's like, no Inspire. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna need it. And then I'm like, I need it, so I added
Yeah.
I had some rebel commanders to it. But now I'm like, I only have 2 Inspire. I'm seeing all this. I'm like, maybe that's gonna have to change. Like, right, maybe I need 3. Right? Like, it'd be interesting to see if the game switched from how many activations can I get to how many. Like, maybe it'd be interesting to see like the game swing to like 8 powerful units instead of 12 or 11. Just like my list is 11. Just get them out there, right? Like, it'd be an interesting idea, I think, especially with Krennic running around being like, everybody takes 2 suppression. Good luck.
All right, so that's Krennic. Okay, so we're trying this new thing where we're gonna do these like pre-recorded mini little segments, and so this next segment is where Evan and I talk about lists.
Oh yeah. So I don't care who knows what my list is at this point. So I thought it'd be interesting to hide it, but nah, whatever. So if you have any questions about what I'm running or you want to know what I'm doing, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. I don't know if it's good. I know it looks generically okay, and I'm playing Han Solo, so I don't really care.
All right, so take a listen. Hello, and welcome to Jay and Evan's Casual List Talk. My name is Jay Shalansky from the 5th Trooper. Joining me today is Evan from the 5th Trooper. How's it going, Evan?
Hey, how's it going, Jay?
So you wanted to talk about some lists. Let's talk.
Okay, so
What do we got, buddy?
after Saturday, I've had ideas.
All right, go
Some
on.
things worked, some things didn't. One Saboteur, as funny as it was, and as rolling 3, surge crit, and so making it 3 crits onto a vehicle, and as funny as that was, they got eaten alive.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
say.
they didn't go as planned. Let's put it like that. You know what's funny though
Alright.
is they were a target for everybody. Everyone wanted to get rid of them immediately. So even though they weren't really
Okay.
doing anything, they were still like a high priority kill,
Yeah.
unlike a leader. So I'm gonna roll.
So
go
You know,
ahead.
it's funny. Just real quick, it's funny. E-webs are the same thing. So
Right.
they seem to be high priority kill for people, even though, I mean, they do well. They don't kill as hard as people make
Right.
them out to kill,
Like-
but they'll focus 2-3 turns on killing both my E-webs.
I had, they were just this. They had to go down, and I just couldn't understand it. Right? I had like Han and Chewie out doing something, and they're like, "No, these 5 guys that
Yeah.
bomb guys got to go." So, all right, here's what I got. I'm gonna wrap it to you a
Okay.
little bit. I'm at 799. So, I've got 3 Rebel Commando strike teams with sniper. Bam. I've got Han Solo duck and cover. I've got Chewie,
Yep.
Tenacity Hunter.
Yep.
So that's all standard. Now here's the weird part. So I've got Rebel Troopers, 2 sets of Rebel Troopers with Z6 Rebel Officer upgrade and frag grenades. 1 Rebel Trooper with Z6 frag grenades. 2 Fleet Troopers with scattergun and environmental gear, and then I have about 40 points left, so I just put a naked thing of troopers in.
I think so. Just 4.
Yeah, just 4 guys.
I like that. I think the 4 guys are stronger than people give them credit for, and the reason I say that is, I don't think people give snow troopers enough credit. Like their steady move with 5 white dice is super strong, and it's just a war of attrition this whole game, right? So if you could throw 4 black dice with like an aim token, man, you're going to do some damage, which or toss out some suppression, right? Which is just as
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I thought they might be okay if it's like I needed someone to go run and hide and grab a box or something. If I didn't want to lose a sniper superior position, I could just have those 4 guys just go and take an item. Because if you give them a dodge token and you want to stay by a point, all that matters is that leader,
Yeah.
right, in that area for what some of those objectives.
Yeah, I think I like your list, man. I'm liking it. I'm liking what I'm hearing.
It's a good change.
Yeah.
So I'm always Han and Chewie are always they've always made me
Yep.
happy. Like they've done what they're supposed
Yep.
to do. And if it didn't happen, it's sometimes people just roll hot defense die,
Yes.
right? Then there's not really a whole lot you can do.
I think Han and Chewie are sleeper good. Like I think a lot of people are
Yeah.
sleeping on them as a duo, and I think they're stupid good. Their real negative is getting into the battle, right? They want to get into the
Yeah.
battle quickly, and so you just got to find ways. But I think there's ways to get them up there and get them into the battle.
Anytime I see limited visibility show up, it's an auto pick. Whatever I got to do to fake it.
Yeah.
If it's the last one, we're doing limited visibility. If it's not the last one, I'll feign interest in one of the other
Yeah.
cards, and I'll be like, oh man, sabotage the moisture vaporator is my favorite one. And you see the guy go, oh, we're getting rid of that.
Right.
I'm like, good,
Yeah,
good,
mind games, love it.
excellent. But so I think this is what I'm gonna run.
Okay.
I like the fleets with the environmental gear, so you can just jump a barricade.
Yep.
They can go from not in range to in range in a turn.
I think that's really good on them. Yeah, I would agree with you.
But Well, let's we'll do a quick rundown. What'd you think about your list after Saturday? Still like everything?
I think my list is really good.
Cool.
My only problem, and I can't tell if it's the list or my play, is it peters out a little bit in turn 6. So it's real strong up to through 5. And then turn 6, I struggle a little bit more. But I won my first 2 matches. Now, my first match, there was a bunch of confusion on intercept the transmissions and how to score it.
Okay.
But either way, I would have won it just because I had the numbers either way.
Yeah,
And then the second one, he had the triple bikes, and that was a really interesting list too. And we did breakthrough, and he kind of did exactly what he needed to do, which was he swarmed the bikes. We had a long march with breakthrough. He swarmed the bikes in the background, and then shot them toward, basically turn 5, turn 6. Just was like, okay, go bikes, break through now. But I had most of my army left because I didn't advance, so I just hid behind boxes and stuff and just popped out, took a couple shots, and then popped back. And so I ended up just getting him on MOV, which is what my list likes to do.
No, sure, mine did not. So my first game was against 3 ATRTs with flamethrowers and 2 repair droids.
Yeah,
I just couldn't deal with it. Like, I don't have a Chewie's the only thing that has impact, and you're just hoping for crits, and sometimes just don't roll them. And 2, to that game's credit, though, it was a real fun game. It was just like, she would move up an ATRT and it'd remove a unit of troopers, and I tried to just ignore it because I couldn't kill it.
Right.
Like, the droids would just repair it, so I didn't see the point. But it came down to Chewie punching Han. Han rolled like 12 evade blocks in a row. Chewie just needed to do like 2 damage, and she won on MOV points. And I get it, man. Chewie doesn't want to beat up his best friend. So, but it was a good game, man. It was down to the wire, like, the whole time, because ATRTs with flamethrowers are pretty bad against a lone unit. So I'm like, Han, I'll take 2 black die, sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. My last game I played, Luke Cook, and he was playing this 5 snowtrooper thing. Everything had recon intel. He had Veers, Boba, 3 snipers, 5 snowtroopers, and everything with recon intel, right?
Jeez.
We did long march and we did key positions. And mistake I made right off the bat was the terrain in the middle where the first key position goes.
Yeah.
I misread the terrain as one big piece of terrain. And it was actually 3 pieces of terrain. And so the one that was most center was actually more in his lane than it was in mine. So it was closer for him. And it was situated in a way where he could just get up behind it. And then he kept popping out with the snowtroopers shooting me and then popping back in. Which, it wasn't bad. I lost a couple units, but then I made a late game push. And I started just wiping stuff out of his. And then it just came down to like the last to turn 6. And that's where I meant like my list just started to kind of like fall a little bit, and then it just started to peter out and ran out of gas, and then he just kept pummeling me.
No, sure. I mean, you're like your list doesn't have a whole lot of points dedicated to any one thing, right?
No.
So a lot of it's like minimal upgrades.
Yeah, so for anybody out there, the thing that has my most points is actually my Royal Guard, and it's the guard with an electro staff, and that's it.
Yeah, so I think maybe what happens is, if they can do enough damage to you, your end game firepower just kind of quacks out.
Yep.
But that's not saying that's not, because they have to get to you to do that, right? They got to go through a lot of fire to try to hurt you.
Yes.
I know when I play you, I don't ever really see a good angle of attack because there's just so much.
Well, and that's the thing, when I played Luke, he was doing the the hide and seek, pop out, shoot, go back.
Oh, I
with
hate
the
that.
snow troopers. I mean, it's a good tactic, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. it's a good tactic. And so he would pop out, shoot, and he thought, I think, and not to like read his mind or anything, but I think he thought he had me, right? But then I just have so many activations.
Yeah.
That that attrition started to roll up on him, and it's like, oh shit, this guy, this squad is down to just a leader. Oh no, this squad's gone. Oh, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, we get into turn 5, and like even he said out loud, he's like, this is way too close to count right now, and I think he just didn't see that attrition coming all of a sudden. Yeah. And so that's what my list is good at. But like, if you can, as an opponent, if you can outlast the attrition, then
no, sure,
yeah.
I mean, that's what I was banking on with mine, but man, I made the mistake. I criticized Rebel players for not using dodge more often with their Rebel troopers, and I fell for the trap where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get shot. I'm in heavy cover. I'm fine. I'll just aim, and then I didn't dodge, and I just get immediately killed.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, mistakes.
Yeah, it was funny. I tried to play a Wonder Twins list the other day, and it was tough to get used to, and I did okay, but I played too tentatively, and so I couldn't I wasn't getting to things fast enough, because I was playing more reserved and handing out like dodge tokens and stuff,
Oh, sure.
And so it's a weird teeter-totter you're on.
No, man, I get it, but lessons learned, so I'm going to try build this new list, and then hopefully I'll get at least one more game in before Adepticon, and if not, oh well.
Yeah.
We'll run with it, but yeah, man, Z6 and Frag seem okay.
I think so. I think it's going to be
if they
better.
get close, like, that's so much damage. And 2 Rebel Troopers, too, even what happens to Han is he'll get out there and just get really undercover.
Yep.
Like, he'll get so much suppression that 2 inspires on him to get him back in the game may change it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Han's pretty good.
But
pretty good. All right. Very cool. Yeah, so that was that. I was talking about our lists. Anything else you boys want to talk about?
No? I don't think so.
No, I'm good, man.
All right, we started with some high energy, and we've kind of dialed it back here. We've lost it. Unless I got all my energy out on the incest relationship.
Jerry's had too much Diet Pepsi, everybody.
All right, well, thanks everybody for listening. Join us next week. We will be talking about Adepticon and prep for that, and mostly...
are we even going to do one next week?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, of course we are.
Okay.
Don't listen to Evan. We're doing one next week.
I got so busy. I got to paint. I still got to paint, man.
Okay. Podcast first. Okay, that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Everyone stay red.
Join us next week for another edition of the 5th Trooper Podcast.
This has been a 5th Trooper production.